Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk. I'm your host, Steve Malloy, and joining me tonight from the original Real Talk Fins Talk, we got Dolphin Thirsty, aka Rob Mosley. Rob, how you been, man?
Great. Thank you for the great introduction. Your setup here looks good. I like the little Steve cartoon character there in the corner. You're looking cool. So it's all pretty good stuff. So glad to
Good,
be
good.
here. I wish we were talking about an upcoming playoff game, but instead we're talking
Yeah,
about, a season, another season of not much happening for Miami Dolphin fans.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I want to thank everybody for joining us here in the chat. Appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button in whatever platform you're at. Come over here to the chat, to the Dolphins community, and hit that like button. And if you're new, hit the bell, share it with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. And remember, we may not agree on everything Dolphins, but there's one thing we do agree on is we are all Dolphin fans. And with that, Rob, tell us where everybody can check you out at here lately.
Well, really nowhere. Just I don't do shows anymore, so I'm on Twitter, but I mainly use Twitter just to see the updates, like general manager updates and all of that kind of stuff. So, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
dolphin thirsty over there on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. So
All
it's
right.
all good. I gave up you're still doing it. I just gave up doing the shows. I just figured so many people doing it. I got that boat, getting more time on my boat instead of doing my mid morning shows. I'm out there trying to catch fish in my retirement life. So life is good. I can't complain.
Excellent, 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 man. Well, yes, as you said, we're not in the playoffs. Another year goes by. Uh, so Rob, I just wanted to get your take. How did you feel about this season, this year? What did give us some pros and cons of what you liked and what you didn't like?
Well, one good game that we all felt good as Dolphin fans was the Buffalo Bill game after the one here at home when we
Yep.
put a pretty good stomp in and we're saying, oh, maybe, if it's a little too late. I mean, by that point, but you at least felt like maybe the team had turned the corner, but it hadn't. But so that was like a good game. I mean, I didn't have high expectations going into this year, but I didn't see us starting off like 1-7, whatever it was that we wore. I didn't see that bad. And we almost got to the record in the beginning that we got to. It's just in a different route than I thought because I had said anywhere from 7 wins on the low end and that's what we got, to 10, on the high end. Like if everything goes our way, we can maybe get 10 wins. So we got the low, but there for a while, I didn't even think we were going to get to the low because I thought it would be a 3 or 4 win team at some point in the season. And then we had
Yeah.
that little winning streak that got us up and above, right back to my 7 window. But, it's just, I wasn't expecting much this year. I really wasn't because, it's just didn't have the same feel as the past few years, even though it turned out to be false hope, but that you had hope. But coming off of 2024, most of that hope had already evaporated. I mean, let's face it, most of the hope started evaporating towards the end of 2023 when we couldn't even close out the division, when we only had to win one game. And then we just couldn't close it out, and it was annoying. And I don't know where you went, Steve. I don't see you. So I hope you're still live, guys. I don't see Steve. I don't know if he exited out by mistake. But
I'm
anyway,
still here. I'm still here. I'm
okay.
just I'm just putting you in the screen. You're doing the
All right. I
talking.
was going to say, man, you scared me there. I was like, okay, but that's it. So really, there's just my expectations is, it's just another disappointing season. And I just hope for the future that we hire the right general manager this go around. He did. Man, you're playing with the screen so much, Steve.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know I'm just teasing you. But the general manager list I like that's out there. And, I have to say, so now we see right now they're doing virtual interviews and those are going to be wrapped up quick. And then we should get in-person interviews for the people that pass through that, first wave of interviews. They should get it down to the 3 or 4, two, or who knows, 1 or 2, who knows? They could weed it down, get people in the house. Hopefully we got signed kind of guy that the team's willing to let go, and we can at least have our general manager and start getting draft plans in place. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And Hunter has a question: who's better, Tannehill or Tua? To me, they're just what you can interchange them. Tannehill had some better overall talent as far as his ability to move around and all that stuff. But when you look at their record at the end of the day, as far as being able to win playoffs, it's whatever. To me, is just another failure. Either one is didn't live up to the draft position that the Dolphins drafted them in.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So the Dolphins have requested permission to interview. These are the following candidates, Rob, and I know you sent this to me, so I'm sure you're aware of them. Now there was another one they were looking at too. Do you remember who that was? That somebody else
Yeah,
came up on the radar.
Chad Alexander, who has spent time with the Chargers and Ravens, both Harbaugh brothers. He has worked for. Just throwing that out there. Chad
Okay,
Alexander is the latest
Chad
one that came out
Alexander.
today. Yeah,
Okay, so these are the ones that they had in the on their radar was Tyreek Ahmed. He was a San Francisco 49ers vice president and player personnel. Then you had John Yerrick Sullivan, Green Bay Packers vice president of player personnel. You had R.G. Gillen, San Francisco 49ers assistant general manager. Alec Hallaby, Philadelphia Eagles assistant general manager. John McKay, Los Angeles Rams assistant general manager. And then you had Josh Williams, San Francisco, another San Francisco, uh, three San Francisco's actually. Josh
yeah.
Williams, San Francisco 49. He was director of scouting and football operations. In your mind, Rob, who would you like to see as the leading candidate for the GM job for the Miami Dolphins?
Well, it seems like everyone's fan favorite is the John Eric Sullivan, who's currently with the Green Bay Packers because he has a pretty good background. Him and family background, I know his family, but still, it's just like he's really solid background. Played football
Mm-hmm.
and has a good. He's been. I mean, he's a Packer for life, basically in the pro level. So I know that was one knock. But that's it. Other than that, I think he's a top. I know Cal Crab's giving him credit. He had a list a month ago. The minute they fired Greer, he had some of his top people and the
Yeah.
John Eric Sullivan. And as of some of the other names on that list was on his top list of people. I know he's a podcaster like you, so he doesn't have any side information, but he just happened to pick some of the guys that the Dolphins are interviewing. So I just I have to give him a little kudos. But he really likes John Eric Sullivan. I like the McKay guy of the Rams too. He seems to have a solid background. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the guys on the list, I think they did a good job. I think I'd be happy with almost anyone on that list. I know some
Mm-hmm.
people probably don't want the 49er guys because they think, oh, that means McDaniel's staying forever if they bring in a
Right.
49er guy.
Right.
But, it is what it is. They stay 49ers has been a successful franchise over the years. They may not win the Super Bowl recently, but they're always competing for it and among the best over there in the NFC. So, I mean, any of those guys, I think they did a good name. I mean, I have to give the Dolphins credit where credit's due, but we're going to pick on them a lot tonight after that season. But I think it's a pretty good list. I mean, I really think they've accumulated a good list. I don't know if Aikman really had much input in that list or they had already created it. That I guess we don't know. But, overall, I like the list.
Yeah, yeah, I like the list as well, and I'm with you on that. I don't know if Aikman had anything to do with it at all. My theory, just a theory, in my opinion, I felt that they probably uh, hired Troy Aikman just as a figurehead to say, "Hey, look, we got Troy Aikman. He's going to consult with us and all this kind of stuff." I think that's just all dog and pony. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Hopefully, I'm not wrong. Hopefully, he is, implementing his input into the process of acquiring a GM. I'm hoping that's the case. On that list, I like Hallaby with the Philadelphia Eagles. I like him, and I like the gentleman that you mentioned as well from Green Bay Packers. I think they would make good GMs here, but you know whoever they pick from the list, and the one that we have added that was recently put on that list from the Chargers. I don't know much about him. But anybody on the list that we just mentioned, uh, yeah, I'd be happy with them as long as they are acting GMs, not just somebody put in place to, and we talked about this backstage, to hold Mike McDaniel's hand, you know.
Right.
And here's the thing I'm happy about. I don't know what the heck Mike McDaniel was talking about at the podium when he was talking about he was going to have uh, some input into the GM. And I know he didn't say he was going to be interviewing, but he was going to have some input, some say
Right.
into the GM position. And he was, bragging about, oh, I got 20 years of this and 20 years of that. And I know this and I know. Well, they shut that down pretty quick. So he's not going to have
Yeah.
any input as far as that goes. So I'm happy that happened. Um, yes. Good evening, Tommy. How are you, brother? Appreciate you for joining tonight. I see Dolphin 5370s in there. Appreciate you for joining as well. We got uh I always get this wrong. DSG Label. Appreciate you for joining. And make sure you all hit that like button. It really helps with the algorithm setting out the notifications to other Dolphins that are unaware that this show is going on right now. Uh, but yeah, so that I do like the list. But going back to let's talk a little bit about that last season. What was the positives of last season, if there was any positives that you saw with the Miami Dolphins football team?
Well, Achan was a main reason to watch some games. Whether you want to say he's elite, of bellwether back, or whatever you want to say. If he's not, the one thing he is a fun, exciting player to watch. He is one of the most reasons I would tune in, knowing that we're already out of the playoffs. I mean, the last week he sat because every time he touches the ball, he's liable to go to the house. So I thought he's fun.
Mm-hmm.
He has good hands out of the backfield. He's really progressed. And then, but I mean, really, there's not much to say. I mean, when you're $5 billion, I don't care. I know it's not that much, but $5 billion quarterback's not good enough to even finish the season, not due to injury, but due to performance. It's just how can you paint the season in any positive picture? I mean, it's almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were some
Mm-hmm.
good young players that showed some promise, some veterans that came in that did better than we thought. Like no one thought Rasul Douglas would play as well as he did towards the end. So, there were some pleasant surprises, but like I said, when you're a franchise quarterback that you just gave huge money to the season before last, it's already like on the outs. And you got to eat that money next year, and over a couple years, depending how they break up the cap and stuff, is this when they rip off the band-aid. It's just, it's hard, Steve. Me, I try to be positive, but it's really
I
hard to be
know. I know.
positive when your franchise quarterback is a bust. And I don't technically maybe not a bust like a Ryan Leaf bust or something like that because he did play for a little bit. But as far as the signing, he's a second contract bust is what I would call him. He played enough
Mm-hmm.
in his rookie contract that he would have got interest from some teams around the league, so he wasn't a total bust, but he definitely was a second franchise quarterback contract bust, and it's just annoying because now we're eating that, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
taste very good, but we got to just take it and eat it, and it is what it is, and it's going to put us in a hole. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's right. I don't know. I tried it, like I said, Chan was a positive. Like Dolphin agreed. Hey, and the kicker, he came in. We thought, oh no, Sanders is out. He came
Yeah.
in. He was actually the most accurate kicker we ever had during the season. He doesn't have quite the legs Sanders did, but he started hitting a couple 50s at least at the end. So there are
Mm-hmm.
a couple positives, and I am happy they finally went. At least we got to see Uvers. He may never play. He may just be a backup next year again. May not be a starter because we don't even know who is going to come in or whatever. But at least we saw a little bit from him. But it was just a disappointing season all over. Tyreek went down pretty early in the season. I think it was the Jets game. I know it was the game I
Right.
was at. It was a home game. I think it was the Jets game that he got hurt, and then so that takes some of the excitement of the offense out. Waller, yeah, when he played, but that was a Chris Greer special 101. Yeah, when he plays, he's okay, but he's hurt most of the time. And he started the season hurt, got hurt and then came back, got hurt again, and ended the season on injured reserve. So it's just like the 9 games he played well. I give him that. He made an
Mm-hmm.
impact in the 9 games he played. But overall, Steve, it comes down to Tua. And is when your franchise quarterback, like I said, makes that much money and he's not even in the future of your team, most likely, it's not too much to say good about the season.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, Waller is contemplating on whether he comes back to play next year. So he's at that point now where he doesn't know what he wants to do again.
He
But
had
yeah,
already
he
retired
played.
once.
Yeah, he already retired once, but he did play well when he's in there. But here's the thing. Here's how I look at it. Um, the positive, okay? The positive, and I'm going to start with the biggest positive for me was the firing of Chris Greer. That was
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
biggest
that's true.
positive for
Yeah,
me.
that's true.
That
I
was
missed that one. I was
yeah.
celebrating that move. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really something to celebrate. I jumped for joy when they said they had fired or released Chris Greer. So that's a step, right? If it, we'll see whether it's the right, if it was going in the right direction or not. But at least it's a start to put us in the right direction, right? Um, Here's what I'm afraid of, and this is what I don't want going forward. Yes, we had a lot of good. Another positive, we had some rookies step up that were not even in my radar to step up, and that was Jordan Phillips, that was Zeke Biggers. Okay, they played better than our first round pick, Kenneth Grant. Um, Jonah Sevaniah was a disappointment. And then, as you said, Rasul Douglas was very surprising. As late as we got him in the year, along with
Yeah.
Jack Jones, they played okay. Okay,
No,
but
they
here's
did.
the
They
thing.
played okay, which was better than expectations. We thought we were going to be a hot mess at
Yeah,
corner.
yeah, they played okay. They didn't play great. They just played okay. But here's the thing. I want Miami moving forward. I do not want them to keep all of these players. Anybody that's 30 and above, say la vie, goodbye. Or anyone that's close to it that has a big contract like Bradley Chubb. He needs to go
Right.
next year. Rasul Douglas, as much as I liked him, his play, he played, like I said, he played okay. Jack Jones played okay. Let those guys go. Get some new blood in there. Get some young players in there. Marshall played pretty good towards the end there.
Yeah, he's a young
Again, he's
guy that you want to see
a young
more.
guy. Yeah,
He's
Dante Trader, he's another young guy that I'd like to see more. I just don't want them going into the season again because I'm afraid because of what McDaniel said, especially if he's our coach moving forward. He said, "Oh, I don't see." He said, "I'm not quoting him, but he said something about, no, I don't see it as a rebuild." No, buddy, you need to rebuild this team.
yeah.
You need to rebuild this team from the ground
Yeah.
up.
But
That's
I
why
think that,
I say we need to
yeah.
get rid of all these older guys: Rasul Douglas, Jack Jones, Ashton Davis, Malafanu, injury a lot last year too. Davis was injured a lot, and he's getting older. Get rid of him. Minka, get rid of him. I don't want to see any of those guys back again. The only players I want to see on the defense is, and Chop Robinson was another disappointment. Chop
Yes.
Robinson,
No, he's
and
looking like a bust so far. We'll
so
see. We'll
far
give
he's
him
looking like
his,
a bust. I'll give him
yeah.
another year because we don't
Yeah.
have anybody. So you got to give him
Yeah.
another year, right?
Yeah.
And just give these young guys an opportunity. Next year should be a year where we give all these young guys an opportunity to step up. Because what I believe is we need to build from the draft. And if we and just sprinkle in a couple free agents here and there as depth players, but let the young guys
Yeah.
establish this team moving forward, whether it's a defense or offense. Yours, I don't know. I think, as you said, and I agree with you, Rob. I think he's at least, well, he's going to be on the roster regardless.
Right.
He's on a rookie contract, so why not let him step up and be in the competition, the quarterback competition? If he, so be it. If he doesn't win out, whoever we bring in or whatnot, fine, he can be a backup. he
Yeah,
showed
no,
that
that's
he
what I say.
played well enough to be a backup.
Yeah, he's definitely number two for sure. He can be that. We tried to go with number two with Skylar Thompson when we knew he wasn't ready, and that bit us. But Ewers has shown more than Skylar Thompson's ever shown. Yeah, I know the tank is on but that's a good way of doing the tank. You don't necessarily make it look like you're
Yeah.
tanking, but you go with all the young guys, and you're bound not to win. But I mean, it's hard to be Raiders bad to get that number one pick. I mean, it had to come down to the final week of the season to see who wins and whatever. So it's just like it's hard to be the worst, especially in the year that Manning is coming out next. And say supposedly he comes out in 2027, it'd be hard to. You have to be really good at being bad because a whole bunch of teams are going to try to be really, really bad. Good thing
Mhm.
is that a lot of the teams we're playing are decent teams. Like you say, you and I don't like basing next year's schedule on this year because things change. But as it looks like now, we got good teams, so no one should be playing the tankathon along with us in the games we're in. So it's just, but because I really never like to see tanking, but if it really changed in a franchise quarterback, who knows? But this year, I just say you just got to do the famous BPA at draft. Just take the best, whatever general manager come in, just take the best player that's there at 11. Doesn't even really matter the position. I mean, unless it's really some position, that's crazy. But we just need good ball players, good solid
Yeah.
ball players across the board.
Yeah.
You can't even look at one position to where because a couple of years ago you could have said, yeah, we got the best receiver room in the NFL. Now we don't. Waddle's okay as a number one, but I don't think he's a true number one. And it's
No,
just
he's
like,
number 2.
yeah, and then so and like I said, I like Waddle. Don't get me wrong, so I don't want to make this a
Mhm.
Waddle bashing, but he's just not. You saw the difference when he's just not like the number one, and you see he's not
Mhm.
going to go up there and jump because so many times our quarterbacks just throw a jump ball to him. I'm like, that's not the guy you throw a jump ball to because
No, not
it's
at
just,
all.
it's just that's just
Not at
not the
all.
guy. But it's just it's Tua throw it up there so many times just for grabs. Oh, it's like an arm punt, but at least throw it up to a guy that has some height on him or whatever. But
Yeah.
it is what
Yeah.
it is. But yeah, it's just we're not elite anywhere. I mean, there's not one guy on this team, that you look at and say, our center was very good this year. I have to say,
Yeah, he
Brewer.
was I would say Brewer, he was at least a top 2, 3 center for sure.
Yeah, he was. So there was a couple good. I mean, we
Yeah.
did pick up some little guys along the way. I
Yeah.
would want him back. But the
Achane,
Syed,
you know?
yeah, and Achan and the Jonah, some, you got to give him another year, but he was definitely a bust in the first year. He was awful.
Worst center in
So
football. I
yeah,
mean, worst guard
guard,
in football.
guard. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and then to his position, in his defense, the Dolphins just being stubborn. In college, he was a good, what was it, right guard, and we played, or whatever, and we played him the left.
Well,
So,
he played tackle as well. In one year he played, I think he played right tackle as well. But
yeah,
he never really was in college. He got away with playing right tackle. He was okay. He was better at the
yeah.
guard position, as you
Yeah, but
said, the right guard position.
I think you put
But
him at left guard. They should have put him at right guard, maybe at least put him in a
yeah,
position to succeed. But
yeah,
they just were saying, "No, no, we want him to be young, growing with our young Paul." The long that was here. Oh, we're gonna have that left side locked up for years to come.
yeah.
But we shall see, man. It's just hard to find really great points on this team, man. But it's just tough. And this is supposed to be after. This should have been our peak of our rebuild when all these guys come to fruition, and we're still in it. When the whole tank for Tua tank for Tua crap started, and it's just now we're just horrible. And they lost their way. I hope the new general manager. That's why I like John Eric because he's coming from Green Bay. They historically
Mhm.
build through the draft very seldom. They will offset with some free agents here and there. They did do the trade for Parsons. So they do things, but for the most historically, the Green Bay Packers have built through the draft. The Dolphins on this when Chris Greer, they said, "Oh, we've learned from our past. We're going to build through the draft. We've signed high." But then, like 1 year later, they're trading for Tyreek Hill, giving up a first for Chubb, giving picks and money to Ramsey. And I'm like, you just said, I mean, yes, some of those were good players. I get it. But it's not, you just totally blew your philosophy out of the waters telling us you're going to build through the draft and not throw a whole bunch of money at one guy. Because what happens is you get the window might become quicker, but it becomes a lot smaller. So yeah,
Yeah.
you might be able to say, "Oh, we can win now," but if you don't, then that window just closes because now Tyreek Hill is going to have to be cut. He was going to be cut whether he got hurt or didn't get hurt, so because of money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Ramsey already wanted his butt out of Miami, so he's already gone.
Yep.
And Chubb is probably going to be a cap cow so this offseason again, unless he reworks his contract again. So you throw all
No,
this money at these
no,
guys, and if
no, don't rework his contract. Get him out of here. No,
yeah,
I
I
do
know,
not want any more reworking contracts. I do not want any
yeah,
more old, beat up, injured football players. Get
yeah,
them out of here. Get them out of Miami and get a fresh start. I want some young blood in there, new contracts. First, we need to get our finances together, get that squared away. Once we get that squared
yeah.
away, I don't care if we don't win a game next year. I just want this team to get their act together, right? Get the finances together, get a GM in there that's going to go through the draft, build the draft, get your core players to the draft, as I said, and then sprinkle in some of these free agents. Not free agents that are injured, free agents that are healthy, don't have an injury
Yeah.
history, and use them as fill in where there's spots you might need them, like in a depth chart or something like that, right? Just
No,
just as
yes,
backups.
100%. And Eric, you're right. That's another bad one. Daniels. I know he hadn't been
Yes.
injured his whole career, but he was coming off a major injury last year, and that was our big signing. He made it what 3 plays into the season before he was done for the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
That was it.
First drive of the season, he's out. Never came back the rest of the season, and then GSG label. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the warm weather. All joking aside, I'm done signing players that almost just went. Oh, let me. I was going to retire, but Miami's so nice. I'm going to give one more year and not have that passion, but let me get one more year of money,
Exactly.
no state taxes to close out my career. I'm done with those type contracts. Just let's get the young guys that are hungry, go through
Mhm.
the blues of having a lot of young guys playing, and then like you say, worst case scenario. Well, worst case scenario, we play all the young guys and they end up being mediocre, and we're right back where we started. But it could either be really good and shock us, and we're ahead of where we think we're going to be, or they likely very very bad, and we have a high draft pick. But knowing Dolphin Ducks, they would be good enough just to win 7 or 8 games, and we'll be right back next year talking about, oh, we're drafting at 11 or 12 or 13. So it's just like almost no matter what the Dolphins do, we find our way to like 7 or 8 wins. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Always mediocre. Happy Wolverine. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Yeah. So here's as you mentioned, Rob. Here's the schedule for next year, and it's not pretty. So these are just the home games. Okay, Buffalo, New England, New York Jets, Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, Cincinnati Bengals, uh, Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions. That's the home games. Now, here are the road games. Of course, Buffalo, New England, Jets, Broncos, Raiders, Colts, Packers, Vikings, 49ers.
yeah, I know some tough road places too.
That
I
is
mean, not
that's going to be a tough road to tread.
not that the Vikings were all that this year, but yeah, there's some other ones out there that are tough, man. uh, but hey, maybe this is our year. We can finally not win. Like I said, I always root. I have to admit, I root every game for the Dolphins to win. All week, I could say, "Oh, I don't
Absolutely.
care if they lose." When the kickoff happens, I always end up rooting for them. But I guarantee you, some way we're gonna find our way to 7 or 8 wins. I mean, because it really, I mean, you would have to be Raiders bad this year. How many games did the Raiders win this year? Like 3 or something. They were
Yeah, it's
able
like
to win
3 or
their
4.
last game, which hurt us because if they would have lost at Kansas City, because they didn't need to win that. I mean, they didn't need to lose that game. I wish they had to lose that game against Kansas City so they really to hold on to the
Yeah.
number one pick. But whatever happened in the Giants game earlier that day, they didn't they clinched the #1 pick. So all they had to do, was just beat Kansas City, because at least if we would have beat them, we would have moved over Kansas City one spot. We would have been picking at 10 or whatever it was
Yeah,
up there,
yeah.
and they would have dropped.
10 or 11, one half
I
dozen
don't
or
know,
the
but
other.
still, it's just like nothing went. I would have liked to at least be in the top 10, because we're so bad. And after that awful
Yeah,
season, it just sucks. But
yeah.
I don't know.
So
It's
do you feel like we should trade down in the draft this year?
Yeah, I mean, if some team's willing to give you multiple early picks, yeah, why not? I mean, unless you're someone but like I say, if someone's there that you absolutely love, and the new general
Mhm,
manager says, no, this is a type guy I've built that we draft with the Packers or the 49ers or the Rams, then you listen to him, of course, and you say, okay, just draft him. Then we don't want to take the chance of losing him. But
mhm.
if he says, man, there's like 3 or 4 guys on my list I still think we can get, and we can trade down a couple spots and pick up an extra pick, then by all means, because this team has holes across the board. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not really as good as Brooks was, almost all pro level, got ripped off of the
Yeah,
Pro Bowl. He's
he
still
did.
not, he's one of those positions that wear down quick. But hey, Levante David's still kicking butt all these years later. So yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
found a secret guy there that can stay healthy and whatever. So
Mhm.
he's another guy I would have to say. He was a pleasure to watch, Jordan Brooks. He showed up every day wanting to play. But I mean,
Absolutely.
there's not many spots along the team that you say, oh, we can't improve upon. So
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
our
Do
kicking and punter, they were pretty good. So
Yeah, wow. But do you think
I know that's
do you think that Brooks is gonna wanna play with Miami again next year? Because he's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
want a
man.
big contract. He deserves it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, just like Achan, he's going to want a
Just like
contract. So
Achane, he's gonna want a big one too,
I know.
you
I mean,
know?
if they
It
can't sign Achan because of the money situation now, and I get it, I would sell them high, even though it'd be a pain. But by the time we're good, Achan might not be good, because the running backs outside of the Henrys of the
Mhm,
world and
mhm,
some of the
mhm.
Saquon Barkley, most of them wear down pretty quick, especially these smaller guys. He's been
Yeah,
surprisingly
yeah.
durable, and like I say, he's the most fun guy to watch. But if some
Mhm.
team gives you a pick and you can't sign him, then I could see them flipping him in. But if they can work, because running backs, maybe they can, because they hopped on the year early because he has one more year left. So if they tell him this off season, they can work. But we don't even know. The general manager is saying, you may get a new general
Yeah,
manager come in here and
yeah,
saying, I'm trading any asset that we have to build up for the future, because if someone gives me a good enough offer from Watto again, I'm going to jump on it. Or, someone gives
yeah,
me, because there's a thin receiver class. So some teams willing to throw a first at you for Watto. I mean, I normally oppose it at once you find one, because then you're giving away a good player to try to hope to draft one. But our cap mess is we're in such cap purgatory. I won't say the H word, double hockey stick at the end, but it's just
you can
we
say
are
the H
just
word.
I don't, we're in cap hell, man. We are in cap hell, and so I don't mind this time around moving assets to, but you got to build right. That's the thing. You got to draft right. I don't care where you pick; it's who you pick, and who you pick has been the Dolphins' biggest issue for
Yes,
years. And it's
yes.
just even going back to, like, we picked Ronnie Brown, solid running back for the Dolphins, but you know
Yeah,
what
he was.
quarterback we left
Very good.
what running back we left. I mean, quarterback we left on the board in a year we needed a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers was sitting out
Aaron
there,
Rodgers. Yeah,
you know. And yeah, he
that's
might be a
crazy.
little loony, but hey, I would have taken that loony guy throwing darts all over Hard Rock the past few years in his prime. So it's
Yeah,
just like, and
100%,
then
100%.
and then going back to Drew Brees, you passed on the man twice, because the Spillman, who was the GM at the time, he wanted to draft Drew Brees, and he lost the battle with Dave Wannstedt at the head coach. He wanted to draft a defensive back because he said, "Oh, we were so close to winning, and it was because of our defense. This is going to make our defense even more elite." We drafted Jamar Fletcher over Drew Brees. Jamar, who? And it's just we passed. But then the football gods look upon the Dolphins. It's like, hey, we're going to give you a second chance to get Drew Brees. You messed up the
Yep,
first time because you had a knucklehead coach. We get a second chance, and then who was a free agent, no draft pick compensation, nothing. Just signed Drew Brees. You got yourself the quarterback. No, we decided to give a second round pick for Dante Culpepper. I mean, oh my, I was so mad. I was in my car. I was on my way to
Man.
work the midnight
Did
shift when I heard the news of who our
yeah,
decision, and I'm like, "You got it," because that was really before social media was a thing, and I'm driving anyway, and I hear on the
right,
radio,
right.
"Oh, the Dolphins have traded for." They made their choice and traded for Don. I'm like, "What the heck?" I knew right then it was a mistake, and sure enough, I was right. It's just so it's just like anytime the Dolphins just like George Costanza one time because Jerry tells him, well, because he said, everything I do is wrong. Everything I think is right is wrong. He goes, well, in theory, the opposite, shouldn't it be the opposite? So what if you do what you think isn't, it should be right. So then he starts going on his grid. He starts doing what he normally wouldn't do, and everything works in the beginning. So
Yeah,
that's what the Dolphins need a little luck on. Maybe they should do what they don't think they should do because it's just like when we think we should do it, it just blows up in the Dolphins' face.
yeah. Well, to be
Yeah,
fair,
yes, Derek. Yes, Saban was mad about that. So
yeah, I think the thing with Drew Brees was he had a hurt shoulder or something like that.
right, and Dante
If I
Culpepper
if
had a hurt knee, and Nate
yeah, and then
Terry goes,
Dante
"Oh, a
Culpepper had a
quarterback
hurt
needs
knee.
a shoulder more than a knee." Oh God, this is awful, man. Just
Yeah,
whatever. It's just
yeah,
awful, Eric. Many
yeah,
years of awfulness.
absolutely, and it's and yeah, and it's more, and you're right. It's more than just the quarterback situation. It's more than the coaching. It's the whole front office. Has been
It's
terrible
basically from Ross
from
down.
the
Like I
owner,
say,
from the
yeah,
owner, from the
Ross.
owner down.
Aside from spending money, because I'm not going to sit here and say he's cheap. He does anything money wise that's needed. He's worked,
Yeah,
but he just picks the wrong people, and then he's loyal to the wrong because he kept Jeff Ireland around too long. He kept Chris Greer around too long. Some teams see. Look at Robert Kraft up in New England. He saw that Mayo 1 year enough. He said, "Oh, this guy's not the guy."
yeah,
He went out and got
yeah,
Vrabel, and now they're in the number 2 seed in the freaking AFC. And it's
yeah,
just they realized they drafted Mac Jones, realized, oh, Mac Jones isn't the guy. Let's move on. Then a couple of years later, now they got the streaking Drake May, who drives me nuts that they already found a good quarterback. It sucks. But it's just we just like stay loyal and just double down on dumbness.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, oh my God, don't dump. Just admit you made a mistake. But general managers are too often afraid to miss. They don't want to say, "Oh, Ross, we messed up. We shouldn't have drafted, Tua that high." They don't want to tell that because he goes, "Well, how am I paying you for?" So they say, "Oh, let's give him a contract. Look at that 2023 he put up." And it's just sick. And it's just we double down on dumbness. That's the Dolphins' way.
Well,
Dolphins double down on dumbness.
talking about doubling down on dumbness, let's talk about Mike McDaniel, our social worker, the coach, the social worker. What he should be doing is they should put him in HR. He would make a great HR guy, I think. But anyway, and then everybody talks about, oh, he's a genius, he's a great play designer and blah blah blah. Okay, so what? He's not a good coach. I don't care if he's a good play designer. He's not a coach. And
Yeah,
here's a little good overview about our present coach until we hear otherwise, Mike
yeah,
McDaniel. Okay, and this was put out by a real good article. I think it was geez, I forgot. I would love to get this person's credit, but I don't. I can't remember who it was now. But anyway, so he says Miami won't be making a big decision, a decision on Mike McDaniel today. This was a couple days ago. He wrote this. Says, but if he's fired, here are the reasons. Highly specialized towards offense. Wow, a lot of good that's done.
yeah.
Can't beat good teams. Can't win on the road. Can't win in circumstances, weather, prime time, etc. Bad game management. Challenges. Hurry up offense. Can't do that. And on challenges, he's terrible. Leadership. Persistently called into question his leadership. Always. Offense tails off badly as game goes on. Third and fourth quarter. Bad at creating coverage conflict in the passing game. We saw that. Cover 2. Other people can get past cover 2. Hell, yours got past cover 2. Play designs constantly result in pre-snap issues. Horrible situational play calling. 3rd and short. Still having that problem. Can't produce any offense without Tua at quarterback. True. Has given bad input on quarterback selection and extensions. Pounded the table for our 4th-string quarterback. 4th-string, because they brought in another quarterback, Cam Miller. And so when you are here because you are an offensive guy, but your offense persistently shows fatal weaknesses, you can't produce a lick of offense without a Tua Tagovailoa of your quarterback, and you're about to get rid of Tua Tagovailoa, then why are you here?
Yeah.
Why is he here? The only thing he does is play call. That's it. Why is Frank Smith here? Why is Darrell Bevel here? Why are all these other offensive people here? He's doing all the play calling. What's he here for? You take away the play calling. What is he? He doesn't coach the defense. Anthony Weaver's in charge of that. Stupid. Just like you said, doubling down, tripling down on dumb things, this organization. Ross,
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of it, Rob. I'm sick and freaking tired of it.
Yep. No, believe me, I know. I'm with you, man. I know. I was reading reports that everyone's saying Harbaugh, but supposedly the Giants have a huge lead on like being because he supposedly like Dart and all that stuff. So who knows? But on that front, so it's just so frustrating though. It's just so frustrating being a Dolphin fan and watching because in baseball I like my Red Sox. So
yeah,
on Twitter I follow Red Sox guys and Dolphin guys. So the only 2 things I really follow on Twitter. So I got to see them all because a lot of Red Sox fans like the Patriots. So all their like glory and glazing pops up on my timeline. I'm like, oh my god. I said, how can this team already be better than us? It's just embarrassing. It's just like
it is.
it's just awful. It's just bad. Yeah, I know they had like the easiest schedule in history of football, but even when we had a couple of easy stretches, we still didn't finish like the number 2 damn seed, and you're gonna have a home damn playoff game. It's just crazy, man. I mean, I hope they get beat by the Chargers, because I don't care about the hardball. 2 of debates over. Hardball, Herbert, and 2 of debates over. Herbert's still in the NFL on the team he was drafted by. Tua will still be in the NFL, but most likely not on the team he was drafted by. So the Herbert, I don't even care anymore. I used to say, I don't want Herbert to win because I'm done being I'd rather Herbert win than the Patriots win. I'm more petty towards the Patriots than I am. Herbert. And then I'm hoping Jacksonville beats Buffalo this week. I think Jacksonville has a really good chance. I almost expect them to beat Buffalo.
Yeah, I was very surprised, and I was reminded by my wife, actually. She said, man, Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence are playing really good. And she's right. They are freaking playing good. They are. I mean, there goes that debate. Trevor Lawrence. Remember that? We used to talk about Trevor Lawrence, and now look at him.
Yeah. So I know he's the one example though that you say, okay, he proved that he wasn't that great, but they still gave him the big money, but he's gone on to prove it. So he's like that.
Yeah.
Cool, Tom. Cool. But so he went on, but we didn't prove it, because it was questionable. Some people said, oh, he's okay, but man, I don't know if they should have given him the big money, but he's lived up to the big money now. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've watched Jacksonville games, but their record speaks for itself. He's leading a team that wins. I don't know what kind of numbers or whatever he's putting up, but as far as he's on a winning team with a home playoff game, the last time the Dolphins had a home playoff was in 2000. It just seems like I know we had one since then where we lost to the Ravens when Chad Pennington was the quarterback. But man, it's been it's been a long, long time, and I mean, my sons, like I tell you all the time. My oldest just turned 23. My other's 19. That means they've been born, gone through the whole school system. My oldest now graduated from University of Florida, has his career living in Melbourne, Florida, and the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game. I'm not talking Super Bowl. I'm not talking making it to the AFC Championship game. I'm talking about one freaking wild card week victory. They haven't even seen that. and they're still Dolphin fans, believe it or not. But it's just
Yeah.
sad, man. It's just at least when I grew up. See, you're old enough to remember, not to put you out there, your age wise, but you're old enough to remember the early '70s. I am not.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
definitely old enough to remember the '80s Super Bowl. Those were my peak when we lost to the then Redskins. I know now that's not the
Mhm.
proper thing to call them, but we were there. I can say
Mhm.
it because they were the Redskins when the Dolphins played them. And then we lost to the 49ers led by Joe
Yeah.
Montana when Marino was the quarterback. Those are my highlight season. 1984 was the greatest season I've seen of the Dolphins. So I was blessed to see that, but my sons don't even get to see a playoff victory. It sucks. It's just, I mean,
Yeah.
it's sad, sad,
Yeah.
sad.
Same with my kids. They have not seen it either. But going kind of shifting gears, going another direction
Yeah,
now.
I'm sorry. I get start
Uh,
talking about the
no,
old
no,
days,
no.
and it's
You're
just been so
good.
bad
You're
for so
good.
long.
No, I like to see you fired up, man. I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. When you're fired up, that means something is wrong. Something
yeah, I
is
know.
definitely wrong.
Yeah, I know. I
So
try to be positive, but it's just bad.
yeah, you doing okay though? I don't. I hope I didn't bring back any
No, no,
flashbacks
I'm
of the
all good,
season or
man.
anything. Okay,
I'm
good,
actually
good.
sitting in my room. This is my son's room that lives in Melbourne now, and I took over his room for my show tonight. So he's living up there, so I might as well take advantage of the room.
There you go.
So,
There
because
you
my
go.
dog's trying to get in the door and everything back there. So,
I got you.
but
But but
it's
mhm.
crazy how
Yeah, it
bad we've
is.
been. That's all I can say.
It is. It's pitiful. But moving forward, Rob, moving forward with the Miami Dolphins. What are you expecting from this Miami Dolphins football team moving forward, starting this offseason and into next year?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's going to be who do we pick as. I'm assuming Mike McDaniel is going to be back. I don't see them cut him this late in the process unless they have a hundred
Mhm.
percent wink wink handshake deal or a little wink wink behind it that yeah Harbaugh's coming here if we make the move. So I'm expecting McDaniel to be back. So it's going to really be what general manager and what philosophy do they go with? Do they want to go with the young guys? Do they realize yeah I'm going to look bad my first year as general
Mhm.
manager, but I've been
Mhm.
given assurances I'm going to be around because no one wants you to look bad. When you're first starting your new job, but as long as he's honest and says, "Listen, we got to tear this thing down." And I know, like you said, you screamed at McDaniel for not saying a rebuild, but I know a lot of times teams don't want to throw that out there because they're afraid fans will just, oh, they're rebuilding. I'm not going to buy my tickets or I'm not going to do this. They're going to tear it down. But I think they don't know how to read the room because I think most fans want, like you, they want a whole restart again. So,
Yeah.
but but maybe the general manager comes in, see what his philosophy is. Does he believe in getting the impact players? Does he believe in getting the trenches? Does he believe, what his philosophy, or is he just a guy, hey,
Mhm.
we're so far behind, let's just draft the best player available that comes up on each round that we pick. We're just going to take the highest guy on our board that I've rated, and we're just going to take him. And I don't care if we double down on one position because one of them is liable to be a miss anyway, and the other guy might make it. So, that's where we are right now. So, other than QB, what is position I need? There's so many, my friend Hunter. I
Exactly.
was there.
That's what I was
You
look.
could
I was
take
thinking about that question as you were talking, Rob.
Yeah, but I mean,
And you
receivers,
answered it.
cornerbacks,
Yeah.
safeties, everything. Because, like you said, our corners are old, our safety are old. Other than the trade, it's just like it's just you got to go young, and I would just go
Yeah.
young. And if that means losing games next year, but you get experience for those young guys, and it's just how it goes, man. It's just how because we have to see. We got to see. I would love to know. I hope this goes fast. I know the virtual interviews. Hey, Cap for life. Good to
Yeah, I
see
see
you,
Cap in
man.
there. Yeah, man.
Yeah, good to
Appreciate you
see him.
joining, brother.
So hopefully we get the general manager. But we're due as Dolphin fans for him and Ross. Like they say, the blind squirrel has to get and finds a nut once in a while. He had to at least hit on a general manager eventually in his life. It's just I hope they pick
But
the
here,
right
that's the
guy.
thing, dude. This is what I'm afraid of. They pick a guy and he turns out to be not that good. We're stuck with him for 5 and 10 years again.
I
That's
know.
what I'm afraid
That's
is
what.
going to happen.
Yeah,
See,
I know. Believe me,
so this this
I
is gonna this general manager, they whoever they pick, this is going to be something that that's going to affect this this organization for 5, 10 years.
Oh, of course it will. Of course it
You
will.
know,
They're all going to tell about their philosophies and how long it thinks until we could put a competitive team. Hopefully, we get real guys in the interviews and because I know one time, I know it's one of the defensive guys. I forget where he went on to be a coach, but he told the Dolphins basically they were a horrible organization and he would do this and that. And Ross didn't like. I hope some of the general
Brian
managers are honest
Flores,
and
wasn't that Brian Flores?
no, Brian. No,
Brian
yeah, he
Flores,
told him after, but
he
it was
told
it
him.
was a white guy that was a defensive coordinator, and I forget where he went on, but he told the Dolphins in the interview, like, "Oh, you guys have been a mess, and you need this and that, and I just don't see it." And they didn't
Burke,
hire
was
him,
it Burke?
obviously.
Was it Burke?
Yeah,
Matt
yeah,
Burke?
maybe that's who it was. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
I
it
think
was.
maybe it was one of the guys we interviewed, and he just said that we were so maybe the general managers need to say, listen. I heard you guys think we're not that, but this I'm looking at your guys' roster because I'm hoping they're studying our roster, and looked at some of our film before, especially before the in-person interview, and
Mm-hmm.
they look at our
Mm-hmm.
film and they would say, man, you guys need help all over because we do. We
Yeah,
need help all over,
we
man.
do. That's why I can't answer that question. It was a great question, but we need
Yeah.
cornerback, we need safeties, we need edge rushers, we
Yeah.
need guards, we need a tackle. Austin Jackson, he's in a contract year. He won't be here again next year, I don't think. We're going to need a tackle. We're going to need a guard. We're going to need another running back or two. We need a quarterback. We need a whole new team.
Yeah, we do. And we're going to have bodies out there, but in the beginning, those bodies may not be the players we want. But if it leads to the
Yeah,
ultimate goal of being good a couple of years down the road,
I'm with it.
it's just like I say, it just sucks that other teams have jumped us. I mean, I was at the game where the Dolphins put 70 on the Broncos. Oh wow, okay. Now we put 70 on them, but they're in the number one seed in the freaking playoffs while we're sitting here talking about firing, having our general manager fire, hiring the new general manager, talking about draft position instead of saying, oh my God, we got a 5 week. Let's see who we're gonna play in the first round. No, we're talking about who we're gonna take in the first round already,
Yeah.
and it's only
And they got a
January
franchise
6th.
quarterback after getting rid of
Yeah,
Russell Wilson.
I know. So
Crazy.
it's just
It's crazy,
so I
man.
mean, hey, if any franchises hope that where the Dolphins' current situation is, that it can be done. The Broncos give us hope that it can be done to get rid of a high-paid quarterback and
Yeah.
move on. But
Yeah.
it's just
But
I mean, it's just bad, man. It's just bad. What can I
mhm,
say? It's just like it's really
yeah.
hard to be cheerful about this organization.
Yeah, it is, but like I said, there is some positives. Chris Greer is gone. They fired the other two player personnel directors that had been here for 25, 30 years. How much of a difference is that going to make? I don't know. Um, and um, and they're going after another GM. So we'll see how it turns out. So
Yeah.
another
My
year,
dog wanted in.
another year, another off season, where we're going to live on hopium, hoping that the
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins make the right decisions in this
Yeah, so
organization.
I know.
And
Sorry, I had to let my dog, and he was crying his heart out there. But yeah, it's just that's all we have of hope in the Dolphins, and unfortunately, that's what the Dolphins count on. As a fans, it's all outside of our control. So all we can have is hope. But I think sometimes the Dolphins hope they get it right. You need a conviction to go out there and just nail this. I mean, hey, Ross isn't a spring chicken anymore. He has to know this. If he wants to see a reigning franchise and under his tenure, he has to nail this general manager and hope that this guy
you know
turns it
what?
around within two or
You know
three
what?
years.
I'm kind of almost convinced that Ross don't give a crap about the fans. He don't give a crap about this organization. All he's concerned with right now, which he should be, is leaving this legacy to his daughter and his son-in-laws. That's it. That's all
They
he's
should just
worried
let
about
him.
right now.
I wish they would just let him do it now. That he should just hand, but he has too much pride, I guess. I just wish he was hand over the tenure now and whatever. I don't know how that worked for estate purposes and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
maybe he should just
At
and
least it
step
would be
back.
something different, right? So at
Because
least it
he
would be
has to
something
know he's
different.
picked wrong. I mean, he's picked wrong. And then it's like because why Huizinga had brought in Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells got a few
Mhm.
months of Ross
Mhm.
and says, "Oh, this guy's a weird cat. I don't want to be around this." I mean, no,
Exactly. Exactly.
you know, and
100%.
yeah, and then so he was gone. Not that Parcells. I don't think he was a great person. That's a wrong choice anyway by Huizinga because his strength was never
Mhm.
putting. He was just a good coach, but they were trying to put him in as a football czar, being like in the choice. And
Yeah. Yeah.
because Parcells brought in Jeff Ireland, and look how that turned out. So I mean, he was no guru.
Exactly.
He was no
Exactly.
guru either. But then we stuck with
Yeah.
Ireland way too long. So it's
Yeah.
just oh
Yeah, you're
well.
right, Eric. I see Eric in the comment.
Yeah,
If Ross makes that hard bar move, yeah, he will score lots of points with me for sure. And I'm hoping that's what they're doing right now. We may not be hearing about it. Nothing they may be doing this behind closed doors or whatnot. But they should be pursuing Harbaugh with everything they got. And I don't care. You need to pay him. I don't care if you pay him $1 billion a year. You need to pay that guy to get him here.
yeah.
He needs to be
Well,
here.
Well, that's the one thing about Ross. I give him credit. He won't be outbid for Harbaugh, but Harbaugh would have to want to come. But Harbaugh, I mean, Ross won't be outbid. The money's never been the issue
Mhm.
for him, so he won't be outbid. But it's just, does he want to come to this hot mess that we are right now? Because the Giants are a little closer to winning, and who knows if Tom
You
Brady
think the
screws
Giants
them over
are?
the
You think the Giants are
well, they have
closer to winning?
Dart. They have a friend, someone that they have a young quarterback that he might be able to
Mhm.
try. And then if he brings this offensive coordinator that the Ravens
Mhm.
don't want, they may be able to work with them. So
See,
I don't know.
I
I
I
mean, I don't know.
I
I
think
just know that
I think the Giants have a GM problem as well.
yeah, they do. They
I
kept
think
that
they
guy.
have a
But if Harbaugh says I
yeah.
want my guy, they'll probably get rid of. There's in second thought, we're not keeping this guy after all. So
Maybe.
who knows?
Yeah,
But
you're right.
I know
You're
Ian
right.
Rappaport's reporting that they're the leader in the clubhouse right now, but there's still a lot of things to be done. But that most
Mhm.
people expect the Giants to be a strong candidate for him. So
Mhm. Yeah.
who knows? Like I
Well, I
say,
heard
it's just go
yeah.
on.
No, 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 go ahead, Rob. I
I was
interrupted you.
just gonna say, like I say, we still got McDaniel right now, so it's almost pointless to talk until we really make a move and
Yeah.
see who the general manager is and whatever. So I don't know, but that
Well,
changes everything if they find out from
I
like
still think I think they ought to make a lateral move with Mike McDaniel and just put him in the HR department. That's what I think they should do. I think he'd be a
kind of
great
like
social
they did
worker.
for other people.
But
Yeah,
but
that's it.
anyway.
I know that's what we thought they were going to do with Chris Greer, but they just totally got rid of him. But we were
Well,
thinking, oh,
that's
they just
good.
give him some.
That was a good thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Well,
I don't know, Steve. I just want something to be excited for. So I would get excited because like I said, the general manager list we've seen. I like all the names. I don't think any of them would be like, oh man, we got him. We may get the guy on the list that we think is like how many is it? I think seven. We may get the seventh guy we thought, like, oh man, that's going to
yeah.
head down that seven. But hey, all name on that
Well,
list, they're good. And,
let's see.
I'd be fine
Let's
with
see
them. Three of them are
let's see that
49ers,
list
which
again.
still tells me McDaniel has something to do with something. So
So we
you can't
got
tell me it's
one,
all
two,
coincidence.
three, six. Yeah, it's six on this list, but then the guy that we mentioned
Right,
that
yeah.
has recently
The
been added is
Chad Alexander, right, that they added
yeah,
today. And
yeah,
that's why
that'd
some
make
people are
seven.
speculating, oh, he worked with the Ravens with Harbaugh, and now he's working with Jim Harbaugh out and with the Chargers. Some people started thinking maybe the Dolphins got word that, and then they added him on the last minute. But I don't know. I think that's just a lot of wishful
That's a
Dolphin
good
fans think.
point. That's a good point, Rob. That's a hot take. That's a hot
Yeah,
take.
I know. I think it's a lot of wishful fans hoping, but we'll see. That
Yeah,
hey,
for sure. For sure.
we
For
we
sure,
we will
man.
see.
For sure.
It should
Hey,
be like I say, it's going to be an interesting off season. Like when do we move
for
on?
sure.
Do we announce early we're moving on from Tua, but it's going to be post June 1st? Do they find someone willing to? I mean, if we have to give up a draft pick like a few years ago, that Brock Osweiler was traded, and you basically got a
Yeah.
draft pick for taking on his con. Do you give someone a draft pick to take some of Tua's money off your hand or whatever? But I don't think anyone wants to touch Tua with that. So I think we're going to just end up eating that money. So
I think so
we
too.
will,
I think so
yeah,
too. But hey, that's what happens when you make bad business decisions with contracts and
yeah,
things like that. And look, I'm not giving any credit to Brandon Shore either, because if he's in charge of the finances and stuff, Hey,
Yeah.
he's the one that signed these guys, that
Yeah.
signed it. Yeah, go ahead. He gave the okay to sign these guys. So I'm
Yeah,
not
he
giving
did.
him any credit either. So anyway,
All right.
Rob, I want to thank you very much for joining tonight, brother. It was really, really nice to have you back on. I hope to have you back on again. And I
Oh, for
appreciate
sure.
everybody. Yeah, and I appreciate everybody that was in the chat tonight. Appreciate all of you. I couldn't do the show without you. Uh, for this off season, what I got is, well, the Fence Talk Sports Network is going to have a lot of draft coverage, any breaking news with trades, with releasing players or coaches, whatever. They'll be
General
on. We'll
manager
be on top of
hires.
that. Yep, yep. We'll be on top of that over here. I'm gonna have panel shows for most of the off season. I might have a few solo shows here and there, sprinkled here and there, but mostly panel shows. And then I'd like to also get the fans feedback as well. So I'm going to have some shows where if folks want to come on and join the show on a panel, whatnot, they can, and we'll talk Dolphins and all that kind of stuff. So, but Rob, it was great to have this little reunion on here. Again, I hope you can join us again and let people know where they can find you on X. Again, what is your
I'm Dolphin Thirsty. They dropped the
okay?
S because it was too many characters. So Dolphin Thirsty on X, Twitter. And Eric is right. I was going to say that, but you were on such a good roll. But Shore supposedly, but like you say, he did end up signing off on it. But Shore did not want to sign to and give that. I didn't know about the Hill part, so I would take Eric Rivera's word for it. But I did hear that he did not
Okay.
want to give the extension to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so,
Okay.
but he
Well,
did. But
either way,
he was probably
either
overruled. But
either way, he's
hey,
signed other players.
yeah, no, he did.
He was responsible for that.
We will see, Steve. It's like you and I like to always say. We'll see. I will when
Yeah.
you do a show about the general manager, and once we've hired, I'll hop on with you that night too. So,
All right, that sounds great, man. I
and we can
appreciate it.
discuss that guy in detail. Whoever we just get as the manager.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it. Again,
Right. Well,
thanks
thank
for
you, Steve.
joining. Yep, thank you. Again, thanks everybody in the chat for joining. And remember, first off, God bless. And remember, Dolphins #1, baby.
Dolphins
Dolphins
number
#1.
Dolphins number one.